Man, does it feel good to be back. Behind me on the bench is almost everything laid out that I'm gonna need to be building a sweet killer KX250 engine for the retro KX250 build. We've been waiting on parts and we finally got about 95% of the parts in that we need for the engine build. So this is day one. My plan for day one is to get the bottom mount built. What you guys have seen so far is we've got the frame powder coated, we've got the wheels built, and we've got some other things going on. And like I said, behind me is everything laid out that we're gonna be needing to do the build on the KX250. Now I'm gonna be using a Vertex complete engine rebuild kit because you guys remember that this engine was toasted. The bottom end was locked up, the top end was locked up. So we've got a cylinder refinished and we've got a bunch of other parts to go on this bike. And we got some pretty interesting colors going on this bottom end too. So I'm hoping it works out. I've got a plan in my head and we're gonna go ahead and do it. So by the end of this video, we're gonna have a running, functioning KX250 engine that's gonna be going into the retro KX250 build. All right guys, so before I jump into the engine build, I just wanna take some time and give a huge thank you to Nick's Vapor Honing Services. I'm gonna have his Instagram linked down below. He went ahead and got both these cases for the bottom end of the KX250 build vapor blasted up and they are looking insane. So Nick offers vapor blasting, zinc plating, and a couple other services. So if you guys are in need of any sort of vapor blasting or zinc, go ahead and shoot Nick a message on Instagram and you can have cases looking like this. What we've got is I already went ahead and put all the bearings in, so we're gonna have to throw the keepers in and then we're gonna be ready to build the bottom end. Step one's gonna be putting in our bearing keepers. If you guys don't want a bad day, definitely don't forget these because them bearings will walk right out on you and you'll be hating yourself for that one. Always make sure you put just a little bit of red thread lock on these threads as well. You don't want those bolts coming out inside your transmission either. Oh. I'm out of assembly lube right now, so I'm just using that heavier gear oil, something in them, just so they've got some lubricant on our first start. And we're not gonna recreate the YZ. If you guys remember, you've been around a while, yeah, we ain't doing that, but we'll get there when we get there. All right, we're gonna go ahead and get our transmission dropped in. I just like to kind of assemble it like that, put them together. And this is the part where it gets a little tricky. Yep, like that, you drop gears and stuff. I have picked up a new hobby, and that new hobby would be 3D printing. And what I've been doing with it is I've been printing a bunch of moto-related tools. So like, I'll show you guys an example here of the fork holder I've been building. It's just a prototype now, but there's some really, really cool stuff you could do with this. So got some plans for it. So yeah, so far I've just got a couple little designs, you know, designs in the making, but I've got a whole list of designs. So yeah, I want to show you guys that little fork holder. We just dropped that transmission in, but here is that little design I did for that fork holder. Just, you know, designed it in AutoCAD and then printed it. And this is probably one of the coolest things, man. This 3D printer is absolutely awesome. So what you do is you screw this to the wall and then the fork's sitting here. This one's not quite perfect, but it's close. It's a prototype, like I said. And yeah, been designing a bunch of tools and stuff, motor related stuff. So yeah, it's print quality is pretty good. I don't even have that much of a fancy printer, but yeah, check that out. Really, really cool. So that's been my latest obsession lately as I've been waiting for parts to roll in for the KX250 build. I've been building moto parts. Also, if you guys are curious and you're new here and you're wondering what all these different various components do, make sure you go ahead and check out the video I did tearing this KX250 engine down. And what I did in that video is explain each and every component of the two-stroke engine and how it works inside. So if you guys are new here and you're curious on the build process and what all these parts do, go ahead and check out that video. I'll put it up here about the teardown on this KX250. And if you're looking for a really good understanding of how the inside of a two-stroke engine works, that's a very good video for you to check out because I went in depth tearing this bike down and we looked at all of the various components. There's all these little gnats in here and they keep sticking to everything. It's very unfortunate. All right, guys, I'm here editing and I just want to do a post little, I just talked about the gnats, right? Those gnats nearly had me in a mental breakdown. I cannot explain how many there were and how it just came out of nowhere. You'll see in a second, but those gnats, I almost lost it. They were getting stuck in the engine. Like, it sounds like not severe, but oh my God. You'll see in a little bit. So just stay watching. These gnats are crazy. Should have, yep, all gears. Move the shift drum around, move the transmission around. Spin smooth, spins free, no binding, no nothing. That's what you want. You don't want that to bind up. If it's binding up on you, you probably did something wrong. Dude, these gnats are insane. Let me show you my door really quick, just so you guys know I'm not crazy. They keep sticking to everything I'm oiling. There's one right there. They're on my arm. They're everywhere. These gnats are not good. But I'm gonna make this fast because they literally will swarm me in a second. Look at this.
What the hell is even that?
Isn't that disgusting? Okay, yep. I wasn't kidding about the gnats on my brand new Hot Rods crankshaft. Well, this brand new Hot Rods crankshaft is ready to drop right in. Oh, it helps if I put it in the right way. Dummy. All right, so we've got our crank and our transmission all assembled into the bottom end of the motor. What I'm gonna be doing now is just wiping this gasket surface down with a little bit of acetone because we are gonna be using sealant, Honda Bond to be specific, to seal up this bottom end. So I wanna make sure there's no oil residue or anything on the sealing surface because that'll affect our RTV. You can literally hear those bugs hitting my light. It's insane. All right, guys, I finally broke down and bought a case splitter. Last night, I was putting these cases together and I just could not for the life of me get them together. What was happening was the crank bearing was binding up on the crank. And you know what? I said, I do this stuff all the time. I'm over it. It's time to break down and buy a case splitter and crank installer. It's the right way to do it, and sometimes you just need to buy the right tool and it'll save yourself plenty of frustration because I already Honda bonded those cases together and I was just trying to set them and they would not go. So I broke down, like I said, bought a case splitter. That's not gonna stop us. That's gonna show up tomorrow. So what we got behind me is some Cerakote. We're gonna be Cerakoting the cylinder head and the engine cases and all of that. So we've got a burnt bronze Cerakote for a couple of the cases, and then I'm going to be using, like we did on the YZ, this graphite black here, just for a couple things. I think it'll look really, really cool. GoPro shutting off, but I'm thinking of doing mostly raw engine with burnt bronze and black accents, so I think it should look really cool. We have the cases outgassing in the oven. I've already went ahead and prepped those, sandblasted everything. I did not record that just to save you guys the boredom of it, but I will show you guys just high temp masking it, and then of course we're going to show Cerakote in those cases, and then after that, tomorrow we're getting our case splitter, so we'll actually have the bottom end completely done, and then I think we could probably jump in to do the top end. And I need your opinion on something. I don't quite know yet on the top end of the engine, but it's something I'm gonna do now, and I can make a decision later. I'm just gonna have to do a little bit of work. So yeah, let's go ahead and get these cases Cerakoted. All right, we're back. It's like 3 days later. As you can see, we got all the parts Cerakoted. We finally got our case splitter here. I ended up flipping around the cases So I had built the bottom end in the other case, and now I just flipped it to the opposing case, and we're gonna go ahead and slap this thing on and use that case splitter. That's something, like I said, I needed for so long, and I never got one, but we've got our Honda Bond on here. All right, so if you guys don't know what I'm talking about, this is the tool I needed, and this will go right over here. And this is gonna force that crank up and push this case down at the same time. Very, very important to have. Very nice to have as well. Something you absolutely need. Don't be like me. Boom and boom. You can hear it popping on there now. And guys, one thing that's really important on this step when you're doing this is when you're pressing the cases together, make sure that the spacing here and here between the cases and the crankshaft is even. So what I'm actually gonna do is grab a feeler gauge and make sure that that crank is perfectly centered in between those cases. A little bit of drag, perfect. Now it's time to get our fasteners in, which of course we're gonna be using fast metric for the fasteners. Guys, you already know fast metric goes on all my bikes. Absolutely love these fasteners for all the stuff I need, whether it's a brand new rebuild or if it's something I'm just rebuilding. You guys know fast metric is always the way I go. All right, so now we're gonna get all our case bolts torqued down to 78 inch-pounds, and we're gonna do this in a crisscross pattern, of course. Feels beautiful. All right, guys, we've got the bottom end of the KX250 built, and you guys can see we've got very nice, smooth operation of the crankshaft. No binding there whatsoever, and you can see our transmission turns absolutely butter smooth. But give me a minute, guys. I'm gonna go ahead and throw these cases on because I need your opinion on something really quick. All right, just like that, we've got the cases on, but we're not even near done building this engine yet. Why I'm stopping here is because I need your guys' opinion. What do you guys think of this color combination? I think I went just a hair heavy on the burnt bronze, but my real question here is what do you guys think? You guys know I sent out this bottom end to Nick's Vapor Honing Services, and it came back looking absolutely great. And I sent out this cylinder to Motomonk, and Motomonk doesn't do the cylinder work in-house, but they send it out, and the cylinder came back looking absolutely fantastic too. My question is, do you guys think that the vapor honing that Nick did and the cylinder go together, or do you think I should go ahead and coat this cylinder? I don't know what color I would go if I did. Maybe black, I don't really know. I don't hate the way they look together. I'm just not sure if they look super nice together. You can see on this side, I know I went a little heavy on Honda Bond. I will be cleaning it up, but I'm just needing your guys' opinion on what you would do for this engine and what kind of color scheme you would go with, or if you like the way that cylinder looks with those cases, let me know too, because the more I look at it, the more it's growing on me. I think it's a trick looking engine as it is, and it does give me KX vibes with that bronze, but I might go ahead and sandblast that water pump cover again and do it black just to maybe give it a little bit of an accent. I do plan on throwing Prime MX case guards on this and then also doing the kicker black. I don't want to spoil too much, but I think there's potential here. I just want to know what you guys are thinking and your opinion on what we should be doing. So just let me know in the comments below. All right, so if you guys remember on the teardown episode of this build, you guys remember that this cylinder and cylinder head were absolutely trashed. So what I did is I reached out to Motomonk, and they were absolutely happy to help with getting the cylinder redone and the cylinder head refinished. Now you guys can remember on this cylinder head, it was absolutely destroyed. There was a whole bunch of pitting in here, and it looked terrible. I went ahead and sent this out to Motomonk, and they got back to me and sent back this absolutely beautiful cylinder head. You can't even tell there was any sort of damage there. And they went ahead and sent out the jug. They don't necessarily do their own cylinder work in-house, but they get it sent out and have it professionally done. This cylinder required welding, and you could see it looks absolutely fantastic. So I want to take a minute and tell you guys a little bit about Motomonk. So throughout my time on YouTube, there's often times that you guys, the viewers, reach out to me and tell me that either you've been inspired to build your own bike because of watching my videos and you want to tackle a build yourself. Now, one thing about bike builds that can be very intimidating and very dangerous is engine builds. If you don't do your engine build right, imagine you're on the face of a big triple, you're hitting it, you didn't quite install your crankshaft right, and it locks up. Endos, really bad. You go over to bars, bad thing. Anyway, why I'm going into that story is because engines are something that need to be done right and done right the first time, because if they're not done right the first time, you will have a load of hurt. I know I've rebuilt engines for a very long time, and back in the day, I didn't quite know what I was doing yet, and I had some issues, some lockups, stuff like that. So rolling into this, I want to tell you about a company called Motomonk. Motomonk is a company that specializes in two-stroke engine rebuilds. So if you guys like this kind of stuff that I'm doing, but you're just a little bit intimidated by engine building, make sure you check out Motomonk for your engine rebuilding needs. Motomonk originated in Europe, and then now they moved to the States, where they're in Lakeland, Florida, and they do absolutely fantastic work, like you guys can see on this cylinder head. They do professional full two-stroke engine rebuilds, cylinder head resurfacing, crankshaft rebuilding. They do a whole list of things, and they do it right. Like I said, guys, engine rebuilds are one of those things that you want to get done and get done right the first time. So if you guys are in any need of engine rebuilding services, cylinder resleeving, head work, stuff like that, make sure you check out Motomonk, because you guys can see the results right here. It came back looking absolutely great. And throughout the month of April, if you guys need any cylinder head work, crankshaft rebuilding, engine services like that done to your bike, go check out Motomonk and tell them that I sent you there, because if you do, they will give you 10% off of your engine services. So if you've got a cylinder head lying around that needs refinished, go ahead, shoot over to Motomonk, give them your business, and they will give you a 10% discount by letting them know that I sent you. And once again, huge thank you to Motomonk for helping me out on the build on the cylinder head and the cylinder on this bike. It was an absolute godsend, and it came back looking great. Okay, so I'm feeling pretty good. I'm feeling pretty accomplished. I would have loved to get the entire engine built today in this episode, but I'm actually going to do this in a two-part series. One, because I think my videos get a little bit long sometimes and I like to trim them down. And two, I just really want your guys' opinion on this engine, because I'm not sure. I don't want to, put the top end together and build this whole thing and then have to tear it all down again and wreck the gaskets because I ended up changing the color. So please, in the comments below, let me know if you guys like this, or if you would do something else, and I'm gonna read all of your comments. And if there's an overwhelming amount of comments that says leave it, I'm gonna go ahead and leave it, because it's starting to grow on me. Or if you guys wanna see like a black jug or something on here, let me know, please, because I don't know. I think this is retro, and the bronze really gives it that cowy look, in my opinion. But I want it to be real nice in the end, and I'm not sure, if it's gonna bother me, I wanna take care of it. So I'm not sure if it's gonna bother me, so that's why I'm looking for your guys' opinion on this engine build. And stay tuned for episode 2, where we're gonna be throwing this entire engine together. We'll get all the clutch components in, we'll get the top end on, and everything squared away there. So like I said, one more time, please let me know if you guys like this, and stay tuned for part 2 of the KX250 engine build. Thank you, guys.